Hi guys, I hope you're alright, I hope you're doing well. We've now been put in lockdown since last night, so I imagine there's going to be a lot more staying indoors, even more so, which is a good thing. Don't go outside if you don't have to. I thought, do you know what, if we're at home, we need even more activities, but these ones are a lot more fun. They're based on games, well-known games, or just bonkers ones that I've made up myself. So, yeah. Basically, it's activities that you can adapt for different ages and multiplayers, and it's working with lots of different operations. So you've got plus, minus, times, divide. There's stuff outdoors. The only equipment that you might need, possibly, is shown here in a picture in a minute. Or I might even list it, I don't know, just to save time because my battery's about to die. So there we go, lots and lots of different fun activities, guys. Enjoy. Here we go. Okay, so star numbers. I've played this quite a few times in school and the kids have always loved it. Whether you have a laminating pouch available, like any sort of geeky person, I definitely have a laminator. So you can put it in there, and then that means that you can use a dry white pen on it, or just rub it off. Or you might have like a Polly Pocket thing, plastic wallet, whatever you want to call them. So you can put it inside that as well, and it means it turns it into, put the noisy bit out of the way, it turns it into something that you can keep reusing and you don't have to use loads of paper. So what you would do is, whoever's doing the watching turn, the answering questions turn, they think of a number and they can write it on the back or keep it secret. I've done it where you can write it on a post-it and just put it under your bottom because you need to be able to keep checking it if you keep forgetting. But you would ask the person who is guessing to ask you different questions that you can answer yes or no to, and you write the answer in the corners of the star. Okay, so you want them ideally to ask you a different type of maths question each time, so they're not repeating themselves. They're getting used to lots of different maths vocabulary. For example, they might say, is it between 40 and 100? So if you guess the number, is it between 40 and 100? You might say yes. So you could write in here, 40 to 100. They might say, to try and narrow it down, is it an even number? Yes, it is. Is it in the 12 times table? Yes, it is. Okay, so now they should be starting to narrow down their ideas and filling in the rest of these. So eventually, when they've got all of these filled in, they'll have narrowed it down so they can have a couple of guesses. So maybe they might say, is it 96? And you would say, no, it's not 96. Try again. I'm going to guess 48. Yes, you're right, it was 48. And then you would reveal that you weren't cheating and it was on your post-it note the whole time. So that is star numbers. It involves lots of different maths vocabulary. You might want to give them a little word bank on here if they're getting used to the vocabulary. Maybe they're a lot younger. But you can give them things like between, larger than, less than, multiple of. There's lots and lots of different ones, odd and even, square numbers. There's lots of different types of numbers that you can look at. So that is a star numbers game. You can always use a tea towel to wipe it off. Handy, huh? So the next activity is making connections. So again, you can put it inside a plastic wallet if you want to keep reusing it and don't want to print it all the time. Or if you don't mind, you can just write on it. If you don't have any plastic wallets, you can just write on it with a normal pen. But you might want to get the kids to fill this in, or you can fill this in with a variety of different numbers. So for the younger children, you obviously want to keep to maybe 1 or 2 digits in the boxes. Or for older children, you could go up to 3-digit numbers. But what you want to do is a variety of different numbers in the boxes. Doesn't matter what they are. I seem to be on a bit of an even track at the moment, so I might go odd. Okay, so for making connections, you want to try and make at least 2 connections between each of the boxes. For example, between 2 and 12, well, I know that 2 times 6 equals 12. I've made a connection between those two. I can say that 12 to 4, well actually, 12 divided by 3 is 4. I know that 4 times 4 is 16. I could say that 2 doubled is 4. So what you want to do is you want to fill this up, making a bit of a web of all the connections that you can make. It doesn't have to just be to ones nearby. They could go all the way around and down to the bottom. It's like you could say, woo, around here, 2 take 1 equals 1. So you want to fill the whole thing with all the connections. So it's working in lots of different operations. You can have adding, subtracting, timesing, dividing. So there's lots of things that you can do with this. This is something that you can make ahead of time if you want to, and then get them set off on doing it and go make yourself a cup of tea. It's brilliant. Next is number Scrabble. I felt very pleased with myself when I thought of this at 5 in the morning. Okay, so for this one, what you would want to do is have a pack of cards, whether they're Uno or playing cards or whatever you've got available, and let's use playing cards, why not? You would decide on what the value of these are together. So you might want to have the orange ones as a higher value. It could be that if you land on one of them and you work towards a certain number, say if you, for each one you get half a point, and when you get 1 point you can have a biscuit. Or I don't know, you could, if you land on one of them, you could get 1 minute of iPad time. So the idea is that you kind of want to build up towards something as a reward. Or you could just do earning points. It's up to you. It should be something that you discuss together, decide what the rewards are going to be, and then you would each time take a set number of cards. I think for something like this, you probably want more choice for the younger children. So maybe 5 or 6 cards each. And maybe for the older children, you could have 4 cards each. So imagining that we've got younger children, so each player would maybe sit opposite each other. You can share the board, ignoring the number cards, which you would have picked out already. Oh, I'm going to get all the picture cards now, aren't I? Okay, so what you would do is you would look at your number cards and make sure that you can say a calculation that gives an answer. If you wanted to put all your cards down at once, you could, or maybe you want to put down some of them. So for example, I might know 88 because I've been working on my 11 times table. So I'm going to say 88, and I'm going to write it onto the Scrabble board. I'm going to put those cards at the bottom of the pack and take 2 more for my set, preferably that aren't pitch cards. And it would be this person's turn, so they might say, oh well, I've been working on my 10s, so maybe I could put down a 10 and say 10 times 80, so I will only lose 1 card, but I'm going to put a 0 there because I've done 10 times 8. Then it's back to this person's turn. So looking at what I've got, I could say, I want to borrow that 0 as well, so I might say that 5 times 10, I'm going to lose my 5. 5 times 10 gives me 50, so I can write 50 onto the board. I'll just do another example because I know this probably sounds bonkers. Well, I've got an 8 there, so I could do like 2 times 4, or 56 maybe. I've got a 9. There's lots of things I can do. Do you know what? Because I've got a 9, I'm going to write 18 on here because I know that double 9 is 18. So you're encouraging them to do lots and lots of maths work. You could even box these in if it's going to make things complicated. Just so you can see where the numbers are. That probably is going to make it really complicated. But part of the fun is that you can decide on the rules together and how you want to play it. But you want to be working your way towards these little reward stars. So that's the idea of that one. Okay, this one. I thought about the game Frustration. I mean, you might want to call it Back to Base if kids don't know about the game Frustration. But you could have a home circle, and you could either write numbers in the write numbers in the circles that would be answers to maybe addition questions or subtraction, division, times, whatever you want to do. Or you could write questions going round. So if you know that the kids are working on a particular times table, you could do that. You can basically do whatever you want, but as an example, let's do that. This is 2 times 4. This is 8 times 4. This is 3 times 4. So etc, going all the way round. Once they've gone round, they then work their way towards home. So you might have some really tricky ones. You might want to switch it up and have a division. So you might want to have 16 divided by 4. You might want to have 32 divided by 4. So you want them to work their way around. You can use anything you've got hold of. Like I said in a previous video, you might have grapes in the fridge or something. So everyone could have their own counter that they work around the board. I think it would be sensible to throw a dice if you don't want to go round each one individually, but you maybe want to say, well, let's go round to the 6th one and answer that question and work your way around the board. So that is that one. This is a classic. I thought this would be really good for times tables. So, to claim a square, and if you don't have counters, particularly counters of 2 different colours, you can just decide on a symbol that you might want to be for that game. You could say, well, that's Mummy, and that is Baba. And you could do different times tables to claim a square that you could try and get 4 in a row in. So for example, I might say, well, I know that 1 times 4 is 4, so that's my one. So I'm a bit smiley. Or you don't even have to write down the calculation. You could just say the calculation out loud and everyone agrees, yeah, so you get to claim that square. I might do this one. And then they put 1 there, and you build up 4 in a row. You all know the game, but you're just getting them to say their times tables to be able to claim the opportunity to put in a counter. Woo! The oldies would know as blockbusters, but I thought you might want to call it find a path. So you could use numbers that are on there already and say what they are for their times tables, or the kids could decide which path they want to follow, and you literally just ask them a question based on it. So whichever one they want to go on, they might say, can I start on 6? So you say, right, okay, what is 10 squared? And if they get it, that's fine, they've built up their path. So they might want to say, right, well, I've got to go to an adjacent one, let's go 2. Oh, maybe you might want to give them a bit of an easy one. Okay, so what's 3 squared? And basically you want them to be able to work their way from one side to the other using adjacent hexagons. You could also have someone, if you've got 2 children, they would be working down a path, and if their path is blocked, oh dear, but you want them to be working their way from the green to the other green. That's a very, very simple idea there, the old blockbusters. Another one I thought of doing was a capture the flag type game. So you could set out, I don't know, you could set out flags or something you can capture at both ends of the garden and put some times tables questions out on the lawn, like stepping stones or something. And you could say that when they get to the last question, having answered it correctly, they then get the opportunity to grab the flag if they call out the answer before you've then run to capture their flag. So basically, when they go to answer the final question, they read out the question and you try and capture their flag down the opposite end of the garden before they've called out the answer, and then grab the flag from very close to where they would be in the garden. So that would be a capture the flag type game. Gets them active, gets them out and about. You could do a bit like Monopoly. So this is going to take a little while to set up. So I will do that now. Okay, so again, I thought of this at like 5:30, 6 this morning. It just came to me. So I thought, how can I do this? How can I turn Monopoly into a number game? And I managed to do it. So I'm just getting the final card ready. I'm looking for a 9. There we go. So, having everybody starting on maybe a joker. You can also use Uno cards for this. The version here I've got has got loads of different wild cards in it. Obviously you want the digit cards. How I've set this out is that I've got pairs of numbers. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. And I've got the 9s, like the railway stations, spread out. And then obviously on the corners we have got the option to take a card out of here. This can be whatever you want it to be. So you might want to pick out the number and get them to answer a question based on it, or you might want them to do a dare. You might want them to go outside and do something. You might want to ask them a spelling question. You can do whatever you want with these ones. So again, decide the rules before you start. So obviously each player roll the dice. If I roll a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and having money available, my son absolutely decimated our game of Monopoly. This is all that's left of it. I mean, he literally obliterated it. I've never known anything like it. I don't even know where the board is. So, luckily we managed to keep the money. We've also got lots of play money, because we've got like a play shop. But you can use real money if you want. But whatever you do, don't scan and print out money, because that would be bad. But, so you can have a set amount of money that everybody's got before they start, and if you want to buy that, you could maybe turn it over or something just to claim that it's yours, or indicate somehow. I think you can write on these cards with whiteboard pens, but I don't want to risk it. And once someone else lands on it, you could have a set rule. I thought maybe when you want to buy a house it's £10, and if someone lands on it the rent is £5. So if you buy the house, you've obviously spent £10, but every time someone lands on it, you collect £5 from them. So you could have the winner is the person that either the first person to get to 10 houses, or as in the first person to buy 10 houses, or the first person to earn £75 based on rent. So you're getting people to work with their 10s and their 5 times tables. If you want to make it much more challenging, you can obviously make it a much more complex times table. So you could have the children working maybe 8s or 6s. So you can obviously buy sets of them. You could change up the rules. If you maybe have both houses, you could have a different set rent. Whatever you want to do. I've got the 9s that maybe if someone wanted to buy 4 of them, they could work to get the whole set. So it's another layer of challenge, another layer of fun, whatever you want it to be. So this is the Mrs. Michael's crazy version of Monopoly. So you don't even have to do times tables. You can do addition, subtraction, whatever you want to work on. Doubling, odd and evens. There's lots of different things you can do with that. So that's my crazy idea for times tables Monopoly. If you go online, you should be able to find what's called a loop card. Loop cards or follow me cards. Where you have an answer at the top and a question at the bottom. It might say at the top something like, I have 14, and the question at the bottom is, what is 3 times 12? So it might be something completely different times tables at the top and bottom, and you can spread them all around the garden and have the final one and write on it or stick a post-it on it just to say the location of a biscuit or gold coin or something that you've got as a bit of a reward to get them out in the garden and answering all of them. to make sure they don't cheat, you can put a number at the top left-hand corner of all of the loop cards and a letter of the alphabet at the top right that could spell out a phrase. And they have to say the phrase to you once they've gone around the whole garden and found all of the loop cards. And that phrase could be something that either leads them to the reward or just a phrase so that you know that they've definitely found all of the loop cards. So if you want to get the kids out in the garden, just leave them to it. That kind of sort of treasure hunt or loop card game is another idea. And finally, moving all Monopoly stuff out of the way, this is from a game called Words. I'm sure there is something out there. Magi blocks or something. No, not Magi blocks. I'm sure there's one of these out there that's got numbers in it. So if you've got that, brilliant. If not, you could maybe roll the dice a few times and write down what you get. Or you could maybe just pick out a load of numbers and put them down. But you can then challenge everybody around the table just to come up with as many calculations using those as possible. So they might say, I don't know. You could either do it so that you can only use the cards that are, this is why you want quite a variety of them. You might have doubles as well. You could say that you can only use the cards to generate the questions and answer. For example, 2 plus 3 equals 5. That's one option. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 times 2 is 4. But you basically want to get people listing as many different calculations as they can come up with just based on the numbers that are in front of them. So if you've got more than one child, you can get them set being competitive with each other, working in different ways. So yeah, that is all of my ideas today. So good fun and good luck. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you for the lovely comments I had on the previous video. It's really nice to see that I'm helping people, because that's all I want to do basically. I just want to help keep the learning going, support the learning that's been going on in schools, but just keep it going at home. So yeah, stay safe, have fun and keep learning. Bye!